When 19-year-old Nina handed a stranded biker her last $20, she thought she'd never see him again. 3 days later, 20 leather-clad bikers stood at her door. Inside the envelope wasn't just money, it would expose her town's darkest secret. Nina Flores woke at 4:30 a.m. in her cold trailer. The fridge held ketchup, soy sauce packets, and 2 cups of milk. She'd eat after her diner shift when she could sneak eggs marked as waste. At Mason's Diner, she'd opened 4 mornings weekly for 8 months since dropping out of college. By 11:30, her tips were $27. Walter took $3 as house fee. She had $24 and a gas station shift at 3. No lunch money. She was $400 short on rent, due in 3 days. Late that night on Route 9, Nina saw a motorcycle on the shoulder. A man waved for help. She'd needed help before. She pulled over. He was maybe 50, gray-haired, wearing a leather vest. Bike through a chain. Need a motel. He showed his ID. Victor Torres. Motel wants payment up front. Nina pulled out all her money. This is $23. He studied her face. What's your name? Nina Flores. Mason's Diner. His expression shifted. Mason's. I know it. He folded the bills. I don't forget kindness. Nobody in my family does. What Nina didn't know, Vic was Hell's Angels sergeant at arms. His club had watched Walter Mason 2 years. She'd just bought an army. The next days were hell. Nina walked to work, ate crackers and ketchup. Friday, Brenda noticed. When'd you eat? Nina mentioned Victor Torres. Brenda went pale. Nina's paycheck, $243 for 62 hours. At home, an eviction notice. $800 owed. Pay Monday or leave. Almost asleep, motorcycles arrived. 23 bikes. Victor Torres at her door with Hell's Angels behind him. Nina, can we talk? He handed her an envelope. Inside, $2,000 in hundreds. For the $20 and being good. Too much, Nina protested. Carmen beside him said, you gave with nothing. That matters. Something else, Vic said. Can we come inside? 4 riders entered. We've watched Walter 2 years. He owes us money. But we noticed worse, what he's doing to you. Ash opened a notebook. 6 months of short paychecks. Walter's skimming tips, taking register cash. You're owed $8,000. No. Walter's been good. Mason counts on that, Vic said. 2 women reported to Sheriff Clark, Walter's brother-in-law. He called it errors. Nina thought of Walter's new truck while she ate ketchup. That son of a bitch. Can't use law. But we'll back you with a lawyer. Mason will retaliate. You need an army. He tapped the envelope. You've got one. Next morning, Patricia Reeves in Billings said, winnable. Nina spent a week photographing diner records. Brenda gave pay stubs. Rachel and Autumn confirmed patterns. Vic's club found former employees. Same story. Patricia's case, $35,000 stolen from 10 victims over 18 months. Walter noticed Friday. Heard about motorcycles. Bad company. Nina smiled. Just here to work. That night, Sheriff Clark visited. Rumors about accusations. False accusations are slander. Reconsider. Nina met his eyes. Only slander if untrue. No official business? Leave. Days later, Diane Mason walked in. I was Walter's wife. He did this 8 years. I kept divorce documents. I'll testify. 6 weeks later, lawsuit settled. Insurance paid $40,000. Nina got $18,000. She paid all debts. Bought a reliable car. Enrolled in nursing school. Mason's closed February. Walter left town. Clark resigned, moved to Arizona. Coldwater elected a new sheriff. 1 year later, Nina worked as CNA finishing her RN. She had an apartment, car, savings. Not drowning. She drove to Route 9 where Vic's bike had been. That version of herself had been broke but willing to help. She'd had character. That mattered most. Saturday, Nina rode passenger on Carmen's bike. 53 motorcycles through Montana. Real community built through sacrifice. Nina started working with Patricia on other wage theft cases. Her testimony helped workers at construction companies, restaurants, nursing homes. Vic's club formalized partnership with Patricia's firm, connecting vulnerable workers with legal resources. 1 year after giving her last $23, Nina was at Coldwater Hospital as CNA. She had heat, reliable transport, savings. Still poor by standards but not drowning. She could see the surface. On a cold November afternoon exactly 1 year later, Nina drove back to Route 9. She pulled onto the shoulder where Vic had been stranded. The landscape looked the same. Empty grassland, two-lane blacktop, the kind of place help doesn't come unless someone stops. She thought about that exhausted, broke, scared version who still helped. She'd been overwhelmed by circumstances beyond control. But she had something money couldn't buy and poverty couldn't take: character. That mattered more than imagined. Her phone buzzed. "Vic, club run this weekend. You riding?" She'd ridden a few times, always passenger on Carmen's bike, surrounded by thunder and chosen family. Wouldn't miss it. Nina headed toward Coldwater. The town was different. Not perfect but better. More honest, less willing to look away when people hurt. At hospital break room, she posted workers' rights information. Legal aid numbers. Wage theft resources. Patricia's contact. Last month, a housekeeper approached her about problems with previous employer. Shorted final paycheck. Nina gave Patricia's number and Vic's. "You're not alone. People will help you fight." The housekeeper called Patricia. Case moving forward. Another predator facing consequences. The Hells Angels don't forget. Nina doesn't either. 2 years passed since that November night. Nina was 21, final semester nursing school, working part-time, volunteering with workers' rights advocacy. Sunday afternoon, late autumn, she returned to the exact spot everything changed. She stepped into cold wind. Highway looked same. But Nina wasn't the same person. That version had been drowning, desperate, surviving. This version stood on solid ground. She looked down the road both directions, remembering her hand hovering over door lock. She thought about everything following that single choice. Money returned hundredfold. Justice won. Predators stopped. Lives changed. 7 women got stolen wages back. Dozens more helped through advocacy network. Walter Mason gone. Sheriff Clark gone. Systems protecting them dismantled piece by piece. Following Saturday, Nina rode passenger on Carmen's bike. 53 motorcycles, engines synchronized, moving as one through Montana. Vic rode point. Carmen held steady. Nina sat behind, arms wrapped tight, feeling bike's power and family's protection. Sun setting over mountains, painting sky orange and purple. Engine roar created sound like freedom, belonging, home. This was real community. Not sanitized social media version, but kind built through sacrifice, showing up, keeping your word when it cost something. Vic explained once at truck stop, "You gave when you had nothing. That character's rare. We protect what's rare." The movement built on radical idea. People with nothing deserve protection as much as people with everything. Nina's story proves character matters, communities form unexpectedly, and standing up for right, even costing everything, is always worth it. Be the person who stops on that dark highway. Be the person who helps when helping is hard. Be Nina Flores. The world needs more people like her.